On this episode of Scammer Stories, Mary is on a mission. She met her husband when she was only 6 years old. After many decades of marriage, COVID hit them both. She survived. He didn't. It's the perfect recipe for a scammer to swoop in and take control of your emotions, your relationships, and of course, your money. Mary is doing everything she can to claw her way back to a normal, happy life, including talking to me for this podcast. It wasn't easy, but she eventually got angry enough to share her story to help others. I always learn some things from every woman or man I interview, so here is Mary's story. This all started after something you went through in 2020. What happened?
My husband and I had contracted COVID Christmas Eve of 2020.
Christmas Eve. Really? It wasn't that unusual at the time. I mean, my husband and I both got COVID after going to hear a local comic. The difference is we both came back from it. Mary wasn't so lucky.
He passed away January 20th, 2021. So he was in the hospital for 15 days and then I lost him.
How awful. I'm so sorry. That was so sudden.
It really was. I was a fortunate one that got to go in the hospital and see him. And I still to this day don't know why. I'm thankful, but I don't know why. Not anybody else was in there. And it was very hard to see because he was in ICU with all other COVID patients. And it was like something you'd see from a sci-fi movie or something. I was able to be in there with him for a little bit. I had to put on like a hazmat looking suit. They allowed me, after I tested negative for a COVID test, obviously I got over it. But I was able to be in there with him 2 different times, but I was up there 3 different times. So, and then the last time was when he passed. I watched other people die too.
Mary knows that what she went through was very traumatic. Still, she thinks about what the doctors and nurses went through at the time and how they cope.
How they coped, I don't know. I mean, because I was just numb, just sitting there watching. I even asked to be with a couple people. They were going, and they had nobody, So it's like at least I could be there and hold their hand, but I couldn't even do that for them. I was able to do it for my husband, and I'm thankful for that. So it was very hard.
So then you go home and you start the healing process. And how did that all work?
I was just numb, very numb. I didn't even know what to feel. I mean, obviously I cried a lot, but then I got to a point where I was just numb. Unfortunately, I'd gotten some really weird, I shouldn't say weird, but so-called friends that said some really awful things. You find out who, your friends are too during a traumatic experience like this. And then a lot of people want to be around and help for the first week or so. And then, everybody disappears and goes back to a normal life. And there's no such thing as normal for me. So that was the hardest part, especially how he died. And then just, we were together for over 38 years, roughly, at that time when he passed. Married a little less, but I mean, we were together. And then I knew him growing up too. I mean, our families were close. So I knew him from 6 years on up, and I'm 60 years old. So I've known him for a very long time. I truly lost my soulmate.
Eventually, she decided it was time to put her heart out there again and look for love. She decided to try Facebook dating.
Facebook dating is what I used. And it was about 2 years after. I'd even talked to my family about it.
My mom did the same thing. She was open and honest with me, and I thought, this is great. I don't want her to be lonely. I told her, just be careful. She said she would, and I believed her.
Just wanted to see what they thought, because I was like, God, is it too soon? And I just didn't know what to do. But I thought it was time to start moving on. My husband would have wanted me to. We even talked about this stuff. So I did a Facebook dating account, and I started getting quite a few people reaching out to me. And a couple of them were real, and then the rest were pretty much those scammers. So I know now. Not at that time, I didn't know.
And how soon were you on there before you think the first one reached out to you?
I was on there probably about a week,
Mm-hmm.
and then I had a couple of them reaching out to me at the same time. So I was talking to several different gentlemen, or scammers, I should say. The one particular one that I was kind of fond of, he used Dr. Renee Statello's pictures. That's a well-known, renowned urologist in LA, and his pictures are plastered all over social media right now with scammer accounts running them. But anyway, he's the first one that reached out, and it's kind of funny because I gave him my Google number, not my real number, because I just found out that you could do like a Google voice because I was so scared to give out my real number.
Did you hear that? She was so careful not to give out any personal information. She had no idea what was to come.
So I did a Google voice, and we were chatting, and of course he went off Facebook chat over to Google chat. So that's where we chatted for a little bit, and then he tried calling me, and he realized that it was a Google voice, and he was pissed. So he kind of played the role of, how dare I? He thought I was a scammer by doing that and not giving him my real number. So at that time, I didn't think about it, but later I did.
She didn't know she was being manipulated. Looking back, the warning signs seem obvious, but that manipulation was just the opening act. Soon there would be kidnapping, gunshots, and chaos unlike anything she could have imagined.
Boom, right there, it started. Because it was a call that when he was kidnapped, and they were requiring money for him to get out of kidnapping. That happened down the road.
Every time I speak with a scam victim, I ask, what did the accent sound like? They're chameleons.
Some foreign.
Yeah.
And he claimed that he was a doctor from Turkey, and he did rhinoplasty.
Then how did it progress to where he was in this crisis and needed money?
I would say it was probably about 2 weeks later. He said that he was going on a trip, and supposedly he was here in the U.S. in Houston. I'm in south of Fort Worth, so that's about a 4 or 5 hour drive. And he claimed that he was going on a trip, and he was working through them to do rhinoplasty work on people that couldn't afford it. When he was en route there, his wallet got stolen. He had the police report. He needed help with money, couldn't access his bank account. I thought it was all strange and really weird at first. I did question it quite a bit, but in the process, they were also at the same time brainwashing me.
Now, when you say they, for people who aren't familiar with how this works, why do you say they instead of him?
Him now, they comes into play after he got back from this trip.
Gotcha.
There's more than one.
All right. So then what happened next?
He got into his hotel. He got situated and all that. It was just one thing after another, the things that went wrong with this man. And I had even said, it's like, gosh dang, you have a black cloud over your head. But at first I wasn't giving him the money because I was just very apprehensive. And at the same time, he was like, I understand. And he was just working me at that time.
Mary was kind enough to share the phone conversation of the kidnapping call. She's disgusted by it now, and it's difficult for her to hear, even harder for her to share. I debated whether or not to include the audio because I don't want Mary to get any hate. But you know what? This is reality. And if it helps one person, let's do it. Mary's ordeal matters. She sounds like so many other victims, or in her case, survivors.
Hello.
Hey, babe. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
I'm instructed. This is a message. Been working with some people due to the manner with which you made payments. Oh, God. You take your time, lady. Think about it and let us know when you'll be ready to make the payments. That is all. Goodbye.
I love you.
So he kept working me. I wished I would have stopped talking, but that didn't happen. We continued, and then my good heart finally gave in to him, and I sent him $500 via Bitcoin.
Did you go to one of the ATMs?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
I would like to blow up every one of them machines. Nobody's there to buy Bitcoin. That's what it is. So, but anyway, he wanted Bitcoin. See, and I wasn't even familiar with it. He had to walk me through how to use the darn machine. I knew nothing about Bitcoin. I had heard of it, but I knew nothing about it. And then, of course, you find out about the fees. He's like, well, I didn't get 500. Well, I sent 500. Well, those must be the fees. And, that particular one, it was like he just got a little over $400. So, and that's where they get you more is, they want more because you got to cover the fees. So it's $500 turned into $570.
He kept coming up with things that he needed money for, right?
First, it was he needed the tools to do the rhinoplasty surgeries. That was the first $500. And then after that, it just switched from, just one of his staff had gotten in jail or in trouble. The list went on. It just got worse and worse. And at first, of course, I was doing the no. It's like you've already gotten 500 and something dollars. It's like this is absolutely ridiculous. And then before I knew it, I was just sending him money. It didn't stop. The list goes on. I can go through just by looking at the list and the dates and try to, and I can pretty much tell you kind of what excuse it was for. Like the one time he got shot, the one time his dad died, his brother got in jail. It was just one thing after another.
And were you talking to your friends and family about this as this was going on, or did you keep it hidden?
I kept it kind of hush, a little bit. I did disclose it to a friend, and then she was just even saying, Mary, this isn't right. Something's wrong. And my sister tried telling me it was wrong. Something's going on. And I wish I would have been more vocal, but that's what happens to most victims from what I'm seeing in all the research.
They just believe the scammer over everyone else who loves them, who's been in their life forever. There's nothing that can talk them out of it.
They were suspecting something was going on because I wasn't acting myself. My sister lives in California. I live in Texas. The majority of my close family and friends are in California. My husband and I moved out here with no family to Texas. So I had nobody close here, but even some of my close friends were noticing that big changes in me.
The biggest question I get is from people who have a family member going through this, and they want to know how they can stop it. So describe to me, when people were telling you their concerns, why you were believing the scammer over the people who loved you. How does that work in your mind? And is there something that could have been done differently?
I don't think so, because I've even seen those comments or questions on groups that I belong to on social media, support groups and stuff, where families will come in and go, my mom's doing this or my sister's doing this, and they won't listen. And I've asked, different things. It's like, did you show them the evidence of the particular person that they're talking with, or the picture that they've done everything that my sister did? And I said, I don't know what to tell you. I said, I'm a bad victim of what you're describing, and I didn't listen to anybody. I didn't stop until I really didn't have any more money left.
Okay, but a lot of men or women, even when they're done with all their money, won't stop. But you decided to stop. So how did that work?
I woke up and realized, it's like the one thing that they didn't get from me is my house. But my house was going to have to pay the tax bill for all the money that I took out of my retirement. So, in the long run, they did get my house. But they were actually kept circling around, and they knew I still had my house.
That's what you mean by the others. Is that when they came into play?
Yes, correct. And David, when he got back from there, they had a Bitcoin investor come, and they were looking at him because of all the transactions that I had sent to him. They were looking at him for money laundering. So he called me scared, and I talked to this, so-called investigator, but it was just part of the scam. So he made it seem like he was going to help me get my money back from David. So that's why it kept on going.
When I hear survivors describing their mental state, I hang on every word, hoping to finally find the answer to why. How did my normal mom get duped? She was so normal when we grew up in the exact center of the U.S. Nothing around but wheat fields and a stoplight. That's normal.
The biggest thing that I can say, it was almost like an addiction. Just like how, people are addicted to social media. Well, adults are too. But the kid thing, it's almost like an addiction with the scammers. you're drawn in so bad with your mind and your brain that you can't let go. And then you think you're going to get your money back because that's what they keep telling you too. I know it sounds crazy, because it's like here you've got to spend money to get it back. Well, I mean, it is crazy because you're not going to get it back, but that's what they do. But it literally is almost like an addiction, and my sister called it a fairy tale. I mean, I knew it was a nightmare. There wasn't a day that didn't go by that I didn't cry from all the crap that I was going through and that they were putting me through. The bank didn't even question me having quite a bit of money going through my accounts or anything. I didn't understand what they did to me. That was the hardest part was, and that's why so many people are so embarrassed and all that because they think, how stupid of me. Well, it's a crime. They got in my head. You're afraid you're going to lose contact with them, and then boom, there goes all your money. How are you going to find them?
And that is one strong pull right there.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that's kind of the best way I can describe it. And I'm still trying, honestly, to wrap my head around this and understand what happened to me. I can't believe somebody can be that badly brainwashed and mind manipulated, but these guys are good. Just like him twisting it around when he made me look out to be the scammer because I gave him a Google Voice number. He turned around and played that on me.
Yeah, because it makes him look like he's the real person and makes you question yourself. So did you go to authorities? Did you ever try?
My sister called the authorities on me a couple of times and tried to have me 5150. The first time it was a welfare check. And then she had told them that there was a sex tape, but there was no sex tape. But that's what got him out here.
Now that's funny. Desperate times, desperate measures, right? I'd like to give her sister some props here, but it is a crime. So is scamming. But you gave your money away, right?
And she got really upset at the end watch gentleman that took the call because he had told her that, well, what do you want us to do? Your sister willingly gave the money to him. So that's typical authorities not knowing what's going on. They didn't look at it as a crime.
But they did come out and talk to you?
They sent a female cop out to talk to me.
And what did she say?
She just wanted to know if there was a sex tape. And I said, no, but if you guys would let me know if it was any good. Because I was so mad at my sister that she, because it's like, you're lying to the officers if there's a sex tape. There's not. And she's like, well, I got to get him out there.
I love it.
But I mean, she was trying everything, and her and I got, into fights over it. And then she finally tossed her hands up. But in the meantime, I was sharing this information with my scammer. So he was playing on that. He was making it seem like she's the bad person and he's real. And, we'll show her, I'm going to get all my money back. So he played that role. And I not only had my sister, but I had a couple close friends that are like sisters that tried opening up my eyes, and I still didn't. I even asked my sister, because I'm starting to do, just informational videos, I want to explain to people, it's like, we're not stupid. This is what happened. We're brainwashed, mind manipulated, and all this other stuff. Because that's the part I just really couldn't understand is how could I have done this?
Here's where I give victims and survivors a lot of grace. I look back on my life and don't recognize myself and my decisions. Here's where the part of the scam turns dark.
And then these jerks, say that they're going to kill me, kill my family, and then they also told me to kill myself many times.
And did you ever think about it?
Like, I can understand why people do. Mm-hmm. Let me put it that way. It's a high suicide rate for victims, but we don't know what it is because a lot of people don't report it.
Oh, absolutely.
So, but I do understand. You get that low, when you're at the point of, it's like, oh my God, how do I pay my bills? And I had everything paid for, which was nice, but I racked up my credit cards. I lost my 2 vehicles. I had to sell the other one. I sold my boat. I sold all my assets. I have, the only thing I didn't sell was my jewelry in my house.
You're really big into therapy now, and I wanted to dig into this a little bit with you because most of the people I talk to say that they have a hard time finding a therapist who knows anything about this and knows how to talk to people about it. So, how did you go
Correct.
about finding one, and what are some things that you've learned or that your therapist has said that maybe could help others?
Well, there aren't very many therapists out there that have dealt with victims. I was lucky and found one. I'm still mentally messed up. I wouldn't be surprised if I didn't have a breakdown. And I just didn't deal with them or go to medical. I am on medicine for my depression and all that stuff. But anyway, when I seeked a therapist, I wanted a woman. And I didn't want somebody young. I wanted somebody, mid or closer to my age group. But none of them were trained in scams victims. None of them. But I went after the PTSD, and I got it right out in the open from the get-go of why I was there. Obviously grief with my husband, but the real problem or cause is being scammed. And she didn't have experience in it, but she also did some research to help me and that sort of thing. Not as much as this other gal has, because I'm on my third therapist. The first one ended up kind of retiring. The second one wasn't a fit. And then the third one is a fit. And I've opened up more with her than any of them.
Okay, so let's figure out how for other people, so we can help them find the right person too that is a fit. How can you tell if they aren't a fit, and how can you tell when you found the right fit? Just so people can keep their eyes and ears open.
Well, the second one just sat there and listened to me and didn't talk to me, didn't inquire. She just literally listened. It was kind of an awkward situation. It really was. So I gave her a try.
Okay, I get that.
Yeah. I gave her a try, and then it's like, okay, this isn't working. And it's not always a fit for everybody. You got to kind of click. I clicked with the first one really well. Our personalities clicked. So it was very easy for me to open up to her. The biggest thing is you have to open up to the therapist. You've got to tell them what's going on. And that's what I, did at first was it's like, look, this is what's happened to me. This is what I'm needing help in, along with the grief, because the two went hand in hand. She has a colleague that specialized in scamming, so that helped. She inquired with some things with her, but I just went into a little bit of detail. I thought, I'm going to have to come forward and let them know what I'm looking for, because I have Blue Cross Blue Shield, and you've got to go with, their doctors. I have, what is it called? Doctors on Demand. And I'm blessed. All my therapy is free if I do the virtual Doctors on Demand. But if I have to go in, then I'm limited to 8 visits a year, which is nothing. And now I'm doing it weekly. I do once a week, and it costs me $0. This one now is starting to give me homework, and by meaning homework is the one that I had the last time was I had to write my 5-year self. What that's doing is getting into more depth, because a lot of times there's more deep down issues with somebody. And that's what we're finding with me as well. This next one is I got to write, I forgive myself for, and then I've got to finish writing. And this is going to be a doozy, because this is going to really hit the scam part.
Yeah, it's not going to be an easy assignment, but I could see how that would be healing.
The biggest thing that I found healing for me, and it's gonna be different for everybody, but is opening up and talking about it, because you're leaving it all bottled up inside you. It's like even when I was going through the scam, I was leaving it all bottled up, and I had nobody to talk to. So I'm surprised, I didn't go down a bad road. There were a few times where, especially when they were telling me to do so, I thought, should I? And then I, promised my sister, no, I'd never do that. And then I care for myself too much.
How is the relationship with you and your sister? Was that damaged at all? Is it back to normal?
It was damaged because there was some bad name calling and anger, and because there's
from you or from her or for both?
Yeah, from me.
Yeah.
Yeah, from me. I was very defensive, and that's what happened because I'm in belief with the scammers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I only believed them. It was sick. I mean, I look back on it and I think about some things and I get nauseous. I literally get nauseous. And then I can go back and look at some of the chats, but not all of them. Because when I start doing that, I start believing it all over again.
Oh, wow. I never thought about that aspect before.
Now be careful digging back deep into your chats and, you know, things. Because the first therapist wanted me to do certain assignments, and I even told her, I said, I can't do this. You know, I'm having to dig back, and every time that I do, I put on the brakes, and, you know, I mean, I just sit there. The reason why it's almost like you're starting the story all over again, and then sometimes you sit there and go, how could I have believed this stuff? You know, looking back and reading it, it's like, and then it's like, that's not the Mary I know typing this. What was I, you know, it's like a different person. So it's like going back in time, and then you're like, that isn't me.
It almost be like
a
drug. It almost be like a drug addict holding a
That's
vial
the
of
best way
cocaine
to
in their hand. Yeah.
It's the addiction, just like alcohol or anything else. That's why I said, you know, the scammers are addictive. They get you into, I don't know if that's part of the manipulation that they do. They get you so consumed with them. Your life is literally consumed up by them. That's all I knew. I only took care of them. I didn't take care of me at all. You should see my paperwork throughout my house. I got piles of stuff. I'm a bookkeeper. So I don't do this at work. But my personal life is a mess. Because, you know, that I was consumed with them and only took care of them.
So the last time you talked to him, how'd you shut it down? And how hard was that?
There's a couple of scammers that were involved, but the last ones that circled through were supposedly they could help me recover, and that's usually what happens is they'll circle around and sweep through, and all of a sudden, there's some recovery people. We know all about you. Well, the reason why is because it's the same people you're dealing with. The last time I talked to them would have been late last year. I want to say November, December. And basically, I let them know that I knew them and I was on to them and finding them. And boy, they shut down everything quick. All their emails, the chats, boom, shut down. But the whole time that I was questioning them, they'd sit there and deny that they were a scammer. So it's strange how they work. But I think if you hit certain words with them so many times, that's when they get scared. But I said, you know, I've got people on to you. I work for the government, so they know I probably had connections and stuff too. The biggest thing that I can say is just, you know, definitely get help. Explain to the therapist what you're needing. You know, you've got to be open and honest about it. And that's the hardest part for a victim. Because they just sit there, you know, I sit there at times just going, why, how? And then these are evil people. They don't care one bit about you. They don't care if you kill yourself.
What do you think the answer is to stop it?
Well, right now they breed on social media.
Yeah.
And they lurk on social media.
So you think we need to go after Meta?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there's Section 230 law, but what Meta is doing is committing crimes and federal crimes by allowing this on their platform. And they should be held accountable. For example, right now I can go online and I can see my scammer's photo plastered everywhere. The man has even come forward and said that's not him. There's identity theft right there with him. He's a victim too. But yet this is all still so allowed.
Now that Mary has shared her stories on this podcast, I want to share an email that she sent to me that I think could help. She says, I wanted to share that I had a very productive therapy appointment today. During our session, I discovered that my therapist specializes in addiction to PTSD, anxiety, and depression. Yes, I suffer from them all. This framework really resonated with my own experience. For nearly 4 years, I felt consumed by the trauma of this crime, and I realize now that it functioned much like an addiction I couldn't let go of. I've struggled to understand how this happened, but I'm finally beginning to see how vulnerability led to being brainwashed and manipulated, amongst many other things the scammers/criminals did to me. I'm focused now on reprogramming and learning to forgive myself. I'm no longer hiding or ashamed. I feel very fortunate to have found a therapist I can trust completely. Being truthful with her will be essential to my healing. Great message from Mary there. I'd like to thank Mary for coming forward with her story. It's helpful bringing the issue into light. If you'd like to talk to Mary, she'd love to hear from you. I'll put a link in the show notes. Until next time, Scammer Warriors.